like yourself, it really helped a lot in
Yeah.
those times when we were all in the same boat. We were like trying to figure out what's going on with our lives
Right.
and we didn't know where our future is going to take us to. And look at where we are years after.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
Exactly.
so you mentioned about you then came out before your last job, and then you came out. Did you lose your job after you came out and you started your own business? Is that what happened?
No, I was working with companies which are doing clinical trials
Uh-huh.
for biopharmaceuticals. My experience comes in the healthcare and life sciences industry.
Right.
So I was working in the industry for a while, and my gender dysphoria was very high at the time. I couldn't be presenting myself as Daniel. I'll be wearing suit, presenting. I'll go back to my room or my hotel or my house, and then put on a maxi dress and feel like my head is above the water.
Yeah.
Breathing up, taking deep breath, like, oh my God, I'm so comfortable now.
Uh-huh.
And it was really hard. And I was doing that for a very long time. And that's when I quit one of the last consulting companies. It was a top 5 consulting firm in America. I quit that company. I was 3 levels below the CEO, reporting to my executive director, who was at the senior vice president at the time. And I could not continue anymore, and I felt like I had to leave, and I quit that company, and I started pulling my resume together as Celia, put she and they pronouns, and started applying in all the companies, almost like 30, 40 companies across LA. Every company that had a pink flag, rainbow flag, that would hire me. I put my cover letter. I was excited. I started writing all these amazing resume, and I started applying for jobs. And I went for trans can work job fairs.
Mhm.
And what was surprising to me is companies are willing to hire trans people at a lower level,
Mhm.
but they were not willing to hire trans folks at a senior level. I was a
Yeah.
senior executive in a company, and
Right.
I'm a brown person, and women are struggling here. How would they hire a trans person like me? And so I faced discrimination. I was without a job for 1 year. I was struggling for a job. And that's
Wow.
when it occurred to me that, wow, this is really happening.
Right.
Why? And I didn't compromise on it. I had almost like 800 people reporting to me across the globe.
Uh-huh.
My P&L was 250 million, and I had so much of equity built in my resume, value that I had as a brown successful businessman, Daniel. But
Mhm.
when I came out as Celia, the kind of jobs I was given was project coordinator, administrator, um, and maybe less than $80,000. I was
Wow.
earning around 250 to $300,000, and here my salary just went back into like $80,000 with 25 years of experience in the industry,
Wow.
Yeah.
just because I came out.
Right. We did an
Wow.
episode on that about the ratio and status, right, Michelle?
Yeah,
Yes. The pay gap, right?
Yeah.
It's incredible.
So
What
that's
were
why we kind of do this show, Michelle, because we encourage. We know that this problem is there, but we want to solve
yeah,
it. We want to be moving on. So
right.
that's why we do this show to encourage
absolutely.
people to own their own business, be entrepreneurs. Yeah.
Right. That
Celia, what
motivated
were
me to
some of the
go for it. Sorry.
I'm sorry, what were some of the things that those corporations told you in that time that they didn't recognize your experience because you now are presenting as a woman?
I'll give you one experience. In a trans job fair, there was a senior, I won't mention the company of the where I had this interview, but the senior vice president of this financial company, she looked at my resume and she looked at me and said, Celia, and I said, there is a job in your company as a director. Can I join your company? And this is a trans job fair.
Wow.
And she said, Celia, I don't think you will fit into our company because they're all white, old men. And I don't want to put you in front of them as much as I really want to make a change in the company. I myself, I'm struggling. She was a senior vice president of HR.
Wow.
And to me, that told volumes. And I said, can you please get me one interview?
Mhm.
I will be able to impress them.
Right.
I have a
Yeah.
great credential and I can do it. She tried. And she came back to me and she told me that, Celia, I'm not going to lie to you, and I cannot. She was a good ally. But those are the kind of stories I heard. And in another company, which is a mobile company, Verizon,
Mm-hmm.
when I applied for a job and I went for the interview, the HR manager, she told me, you look like a woman. You don't have to tell you're trans. Don't worry about it. And I said, you're not listening to me. I'm
Yes.
gender non-binary. I don't want to identify as a woman. And I don't want to this is my identity.
Exactly.
And so it's not a compliment saying
Mm-hmm.
that I look like a woman. That's a wrong thing to say. There were lots of things like this, especially one of the interviewer, recruiter called me and said, am I talking to Celia Daniels? And I said, yes, this is she. And he started on and on. And he said, but you sound like a man.
Oh.
I told him, did you check my resume before calling me? Did you check my LinkedIn before calling me? And he said, no, I did not. And that's why I'm calling you. And I said, you should do your homework before calling a trans person. My pronouns are very clear. My LinkedIn profile is there. Why didn't you look at it before calling me?
Wow.
And then he said, he didn't even apologize. He just went on and on. And I felt so much of gender dysphoria in that call because he mentioned again, hey, but excuse me for a second, you sound like a man. I'm sorry. Are you really Celia Daniels? And that's the time it hit me that I said, no, this conversation is over. And he was from a very
Yeah.
reputed firm. And for me to turn down that offer as a senior program manager for that company was really hard, because I thought this is a great opportunity. But here's the thing. I put that little post on LinkedIn, and I woke up in the next morning and I saw there were 1.4 million views
Oh
on
my
LinkedIn.
goodness. Wow.
On LinkedIn, nobody sees. We probably get like 20,000 views. 1.4 million views on LinkedIn, and in 2 days it went to 2.4 million. And I was curious as to what people are telling about the situation. Are they really getting a message? It's not Celia's story, it's our story.
Right.
There are people like us who are being marginalized, even in the interview process. They are not educated. And to me, that was appalling.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's so much that companies need to learn to change the way they work.
I have similar experience. I have like two opinion on it. I think when I first work in Transamerica, I do a lot of phone calls in the beginning, and I did say my name, but Shelby can be a man too. So
Oh, okay.
when I call, and then in the beginning they always say, "Sir." Thank you, sir. Hi, sir.
Oh,
Yeah, but then over time, I kind of know how to adjust my voice higher, actually, or softer. And now the problem has gone away unless I just woke up. Then it's a different story. But then
yeah.
but then the other kind, like, it's like I think some people purposely call you that to offend you, because I went to a city hall for real estate business to find out the blueprints and permits and all that. And then city hall has different. When you walk in, there's a security, there's barriers you need to go through. So at that time, that point, when I go to the window, nobody call me sir or man or anything. But when I get to the window, this girl younger than me, and I asked a lot of questions. I think she got annoyed, so she goes, "No, sir, that's not it." So at that point, I know, because I look like this. I'm not looking,
Right.
like what I'm trying
Nothing
to say.
masculine looking about you.
Right. So I think for what your story just told, maybe that they did it on purpose, try to not hire you, and you just back out. So I don't know, just my opinion. So do you
They may
have
be
any?
checking. Yeah, you're right. They may be checking boxes too. A lot of
Right.
times I feel like, hey, we want to hire a black person. We want, George Floyd happened. Oh, anti-Asian issues are happening. Let's hire an Asian person. And trans people are getting murdered every year. And almost in 2021, there were 50 trans women, and almost more than 85% of the folks who were murdered were trans people of color.
Mm-hmm.
And so companies are just intentional or sometimes very performative. They just want to hire people because they want to check these boxes, Shelby. And
There's a
sometimes,
PR effect.
what really bothers me is you can change a person who's ignorant. You cannot change a person who's arrogant.
Yeah,
You know,
and then I like what you're saying. Because during July we just had a Pride Month. Every company you saw is about
Right.
Pride Month. But what Celia says,
Rainbow logos everywhere.
Pride Month is now Pride is not just a month; it's 365 days. So
Yes.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Exactly.
I think
Celia,
go for it.
how do you see things are changing now? All of us have had experiences like that, and will continue to
Right.
because we still live in a very messed up world. But what positive things have you seen that have been more inclusive, more accepting, or more even questioning or asking what our preferred name is or what our preferred pronouns are? What have you seen that's been positive?
Yeah. No, looking at the statistics in California, 27% of the youth in California, according to the Williams Institute in 2019 that came out, identified as gender non-binary. The numbers are going up every day. And even if you look at in 2030, the workforce is going to be 75% of the workforce is going to be millennials and Gen Zs. We are looking at a revolution where people are coming out of not just a process issue, a technology issue, but also a people issue. They never had people issues so far. COVID disrupted the whole industry. It disrupted the whole world, where people have started telling the companies that this is how I'm going to work. You want to figure it out. So companies are now thinking about what they can do proactively. They are trying to hire trans folks. I'm working with a company today to implement pronouns. It's a $26 billion pharmaceutical in California. And I'm trying to bring in the pronouns, and I see that everyone is willing to use pronouns. But unfortunately, due to according to the Pew statistics, 48% of the Americans are still not comfortable using pronouns.